God allows events to follow their natural course. History is written by the choices of free individuals. Choices may be right or wrong, but God never prevents human beings from exercising their freedom of choice. God's prophets and saints have not and will not solve people's problems on their behalf. Their mission is to reveal the truth as it is and to create conditions for free choice. We must learn to make use of these conditions. Then we cause to inherit the book those we have chosen of our servants, and among them is he who wrongs himself, and among them is he who is moderate, and among them is he who is foremost in good deeds by permission of Allah. That is what is the great bounty. Surah Fatir, verse 32. Every person, in every place and at all times, faces deprivation and endures hardship. A desire is always sacrificed for another. However, the person who connects to God and directs this process to a struggle with the self gains an advantage. This advantage is the freedom to choose difficulties in advance. Should I endure the suffering of envy or the struggle to overcome it? Should I obsess over what others have and poison my life, or root out this trait and live in peace? Should I care for others' suffering or worry over my wealth? Should I live a stressful life, constantly fearing someone might take my wealth, deceive me, or reduce my possessions? Or should I take on the joy of making an orphan happy and savor humanity? However, the struggle with the self is not limited to such choices. Choosing between sin and virtue, good and bad, doesn't require great intellect. A person already knows what is good and bad. Intellectual and spiritual skill manifests in a completely different dimension. God tests his friends through entirely different means. Those who sacrifice during Hajj try to act like Prophet Ibrahim. When he was prepared to sacrifice Ismail, God commanded the sacrifice of a ram instead. Yaqub deeply loved Yusuf. God separated them. Only after this attachment to Yusuf left Yaqub's heart did God reunite the father and son. Loving children, especially children like Ismail and Yusuf, is a wonderful act. However, being wholly devoted to God is even greater. Therefore, God places his prophets before choices between good and better. The essence of struggling with the self should lie in this. Fighting against evil and vileness is the lowest and shortest phase of self-struggle. A lifetime spent battling vice indicates being on the wrong path. The ultimate goal is to choose the best among the good. A person's intellectual sharpness becomes evident during such choices. The struggle with the self is the clearest indicator of human freedom. A person enslaved by their own desires can easily become a slave to others because they are easy to manipulate. If there's something you desperately want, you may willingly serve anyone who possesses it. This is why people are first inculcated with a consumerist culture. It makes controlling them easier. In today's world, political correctness and pluralism, rather than ensuring freedom of expression, actually restrict it. Freedom of expression in itself cannot be a value. It is a norm, a method serving the emergence of truth. Everyone expresses their thoughts so that the correct and best can be chosen. However, if freedom of expression becomes the goal, anarchy becomes inevitable. All ideas gain equal status and are treated as truths. To prevent freedom of speech from causing conflict, another value emerged: political correctness. This value was meant to ensure society against irresponsible expressions and thoughts, but ultimately became censorship. During the Soviet era, censorship restricted freedom of speech, but could not limit thought. People refrained from expressing their ideas, but thought freely. In the modern world, such fear no longer exists, not because everyone can express themselves freely, but because everyone thinks the same way, guided by external influences. This is the inevitable fate of a consumerist, profit-oriented, and materialistic mindset. But a person who controls their desires and curbs their self cannot be manipulated. No material possession exists to tempt or influence them. Such a person is not a consumer, but a creator, a producer. No one can predetermine their choice. Only God can captivate them. Thus, love for God turns them into God's servant. Does this benefit only the afterlife? Or is there also a worldly benefit? About this in the next episode.